Putting noise to remove noise. Dithering. It's much simpler than you think. Just listen very carefully. I'm gonna explain it right now with an image first, visually, because if you can see it, you can understand it easier, and pay attention because the same concept applies to audio. So if you understand it now, you will understand it with audio. Here's an image that has different levels of brightness. I will call these levels the intensity of the pixels. So if I reduce the dynamic range of that image to 1 bit, it's gonna be either on or off. So everything above 50% intensity will be pure white. Everything below 50% intensity will be pure black. And these pixels are what we call correlated, because if one pixel has 40% intensity becomes black, all the other pixels that also have 30% intensity will become black. They behave in the same way. Now, if I introduce noise to that original image and then I reduce it to 1 bit, we will retain all the variation in brightness. But how is that possible? Is it not 1 bit just on or off? Yeah, if you look closely, the pixels are either 100% intensity or 0% intensity. But we randomized it, or we decorrelated these pixels with the noise. So now just 20% of the pixels have full intensity, which gives the perception of all the pixels having just 20% intensity, or 40% of the pixels have full intensity. You get the point. We get the perception that all the variation is still there, and that is dithering. Now to audio. If I reduce the dynamic range of an audio signal, the quantization errors will create overtones that should not exist at all. They are not part of the original signal to start with, and each one of these overtones is a multiple of the fundamental frequency. And all these overtones together sound like distortion. That is very unpleasant. And if you've ever used a overdrive or distortion plugin for a guitar sound, for example, this is how it works. It takes the fundamental frequency and creates overtone frequencies that are related to that fundamentals. They are multiples of that fundamentals. So if I want to get rid of the distortion, what should I do? I should get rid of these overtones. But I cannot just filter them out, because in real life you don't just have one frequency, you have a range of frequencies, and there is no way to separate the bad frequencies from the good frequencies. So what can we do? We can introduce random noise to randomize or decorrelate these overtones from the original signal. Now this might seem counterintuitive and doesn't make sense, because we are putting noise to remove noise, but it does make sense, because the quantization noise is closely related to the original signal and changes the perception of that sound or piece of music, whereas the random noise is just random. So you do your thing, I'll do my thing, you'll just hear music and next to it a bit of random noise. Now here's a question for you. If I reduce the dynamic range of a piece of music to just 1 bit, so either full volume or silence, nothing in between, can I still preserve all the perceived dynamic variation of the music? I know this is very extreme, you'll never have a 1-bit music, but I just want to prove a point. How much noise you should add? How do you know how loud the noise should be? Because although it is random noise, the loudness of it is certainly not random. So remember a bit earlier I mentioned the term noise floor, and it simply means that whatever dynamic range you have, the noise will be at the floor or at the bottom or at the quietest part of the dynamic range. So in the case of Instagram and 8-bit audio, the noise, the quantization noise, is at minus 48 dB. How do I know that? Each bit is 6 dB and we have 8 bits, so 8 times 6 is 48. And that's exactly how much random noise we need to cover up the quantization noise. And if you add more random noise or louder, it's fine, it's not a problem, but it's not like the more you add, the better it gets. You just need minus 48 dB. But if you add less or quieter than minus 48 dB, we're not doing anything because the distortion from the quantization is still louder than whatever we are doing, so we are not solving any problem here. Now, if you want to know how to practically use what you learned in this video to fix something like Instagram's terrible audio, click on this video right here. Or if you were wondering how I know that Instagram is 8-bit audio, click on this video right here where I explain the whole testing process, and I'll see you there.